Alrighty, Doc here from North America. All right, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It is just a noisy day. Markets are not moving. Not moving much, but it is noisy. Mr. Biden has set up a deal for his son, and it just doesn't let go on the information sources I follow. You know, where they actually tell you the news, the actual things that are going on in the world. And so, it just gets just more, I guess you could say, more upside down and confusing than ever before when it comes to understanding what is happening, inside our government. So, anyhow, that's where we are. So let's take a look at it. You can see there's the dollar index. Oh, let me check the chat line too. Yesterday was very quiet. 3-day weekend must have shook us all up. Celebrating that America was the first country in the world to basically outlaw slavery or attempt to outlaw it. And then, a few centuries ago, we outlawed it. And so that's been, we declared that as a holiday now, which is pretty cool. It's a signing of the Emancipation Act itself in Texas back 2 centuries ago. So pretty cool. Whereas I think they still say about half the world is still practicing slavery. So we are really ahead of the curve by a few hundred years. There we go. I see Robin up there. Hey, Robin. Don't see much more than that. It's gotten quiet lately. I know Janos usually does something to allow people to see, I guess, or know that we're here. It's hard to say exactly what's going on, but I'm not worried about it too much. I'm happy just because I get a chance to give my opinion about what I see, and then when you go back and look at it, 6 months from now, or a year from now, or 2 years from now, our direction is usually pretty accurate. Almost 90% of the time, we're pretty accurate about it all. The story may not fit exactly what did it, but our math tells us which way it's going, and it usually does. So, all right, going to the tea already. There we go. So, there's the dollar index. You can see it's trying to perk up a little bit. We talked about that yesterday. You can see we went into the buy yesterday. Today it's in there too. They gave us a red and a green on Friday. Trying to perk up. It's trying to lift. Or Monday, I guess it was a Monday, since the world was not closed, but the United States was celebrating our concept of not putting people into slavery. Indeed. All right. What else can we say about the dollar index itself? We slid into a weekly sell last week. The fast algorithm broke down very quickly. Then by the end of the week, the slow did. Having a hard time, getting through that manifold period right there. But overall, you can see here on J4X, we're at 23 in the slow, and we are at 33 in the fast on a daily basis, just like we are here on the daily, moving through the zero line. And that yellow basically is like a three-dimensional zero line. So that's what that's all about. That's why we have it as dashed. Little yellow dashes. Dash, dash, and more dash. We talked about this yesterday, and I don't mind emphasizing it again today, and that is that with the Federal Reserve, first of all, Mr. Powell is speaking today. He's talking to Congress for the last, he's going to be speaking to Congress in 25 minutes. So he's probably going to release his statement about 15 minutes beforehand. A lot of people probably already have a general idea what he's going to say. And they're going to want to know why he didn't increase interest rates again, or why he won't stop increasing them in the future. I don't know. One of the above. I don't take Mr. Powell too serious. He is he doesn't say a lot that makes a lot of sense. At the same time, he is the market. He controls the market. He plows money into the market on all kinds of ways. Hands Citadel $1 billion a night. Keeps on rotating it. Every night they have the same $1 billion. And there are so many other brokerages that he feeds. He feeds money to, and doesn't really let go. I think they're saying they're hearing some noises now from that missing submarine. So that's a good thing. I'm seeing that up on the screen at the moment. They're talking about the race against time. Because I think they run out of air tomorrow. Yeah, I think they run out of air tomorrow. All right. So, there it is. The dollar index trying to lift up. The dollar index on Chicago Quant trying to lift up on a day-to-day basis, but on a week-to-week basis, it's just showing the pressure. Let's show you that. Let's take a look at the weekly. Right there and right there. It should be all red. Yeah, 2 weeks of red. And the green is trading down at the 34 area. And the yellow is trading in the 57 area. So, wow. That's a big gap there. Like a way oversold situation. But, there's no real surprise, about when it comes to the action we're seeing here. There isn't much of a surprise. Inflation, interest rates, it makes, it puts pressure. At the same time, the Federal Reserve can't figure out if it's coming or going. And other countries are raising their interest rates, which is a fundamental thing that we used to see all the time. In other words, it had an effect on the market's price itself. But instead, the dollar index itself is, you can see it's like a triangle for the last couple months. Let's make this bigger. Yeah, it's like a base in there. It's basing off of this base. And then we talk about that, watching that century mark. Will it break the century mark? Is this the A, this is the B, or A, B, C, and then this is the one that breaks it down? We'll see. Maybe we'll break that century mark, shake them all up. If they're not raising rates anymore in the States, it could happen. All right. Let's go back to the daily. Right there. And let's go over to the euro and see what the euro's up to this morning. Right there. No, right there. There it is. We went into the sell yesterday. It's down just a little bit today. You can see it right there. Just a little bit. The weekly is holding up very strong. It doesn't seem to care. I have my doubts that the euro has got much more room on the downside. It seems to have more room on the upside. Also, they've said some very positive things about how they've not got things right. That's very good. Markets like to hear that, governments or companies figure out what they're doing wrong and start to do it right. They really do. I know it seems odd to say, but they really do. Then they feel like, oh, well, if they're going to be responsible like that, then maybe it's a good investment. That's the way they look at it. So, and that's kind of cool. And in this case here, would you rather be long the dollar or the euro or our M-BRIC index that we've developed here? It's a question of any one of them at this point. Which one is the hottest positive way to go? Right now, it seems like the European Union wouldn't be bad if they could get their game together and start practicing. If they could pull the southern states and the central states towards the northern states where they're much more productive financially and economically and industrially. That would be a good thing. Something we, as American traders, always hoped would happen is that there would be a competing and legitimate other currency, so we didn't have to take the pain of being the world reserve currency. Some people are very confused about that. They keep on thinking that being the world reserve currency is what we want. It's kind of like we're stuck with it more than what we want. And what it does wrong for us is we end up expanding our money supply to satisfy the world, and that gives our politicians room to spend money. We don't really want our politicians to spend money as much as everybody thinks we do. We don't. And China is with the classic Margaret Thatcher point of view, and that is sooner or later you run out of other people's money. And so China wants to spend money because it's other people's money. And that's relatively easy to want to do, so it doesn't really matter. When you're spending in other people's money, you don't really care as much. And so that's the whole gist of it all, is a world reserve currency wouldn't be bad if we had 2 or 3 of them. It would be really great. Right now, the only one that really looks like possibility is the European Union. And maybe our M brick, with the Mexican peso as the king peso of the planet, that type of thing. All right, and then from there we drive over to pound. Yesterday we had also a very good conversation on what was it, consolidations versus profit taking. I think that's what it was. Was that yesterday? I think that was. It was a very good conversation. I enjoyed that. And that all falls on the shoulders again of the Federal Reserve, because they're floating tons of dough, money out the door constantly, and because they're floating it out, I'm going to put the euro up on J4X. Since they're doing that, it generates that inflation, allows that inflation to go and gives politicians opportunity to spend more money, and that really is messing with the world, planetarily. All right, and then from there, you can see on J4X now how it matches up with Chicago Quant. You can see that the green is at 71. Oh, and look at that. And this is a daily. Oh, yeah, all right. That makes sense because we're below the zero line for a second day. We should start to get some red on the Hinky Ashkies soon. We went into the red here yesterday. It's a little lagging today, maybe because it's kind of quiet and it doesn't have as much energy. So, all right. From the euro, what else can we say about it? I guess this is the last part of it right there, the weekly. It's still in a weekly buy and a daily sell, so this is not exactly something, you obviously for new people here, you don't short this. You take your profits from the last time we went into the buy here, that type of thing. But you don't short it because, the pressure is on the upside. So, you skip the shorts and go only longs. That's what happens when you're in a weekly buy and a daily buy. You go long. And then when it's in a weekly or a daily sell, you don't do anything, or at least keep your profits, take your profits, but don't short this thing. It's better to miss a trade than lose money. That's the way we always look at it. All right, and from there we'll go to the pound. It looked like the pound was getting a little bit pushed harder than everybody else, so we'll see. Yeah, it's down, taking out new lows. Second day in the sell, but it's in a weekly buy, so we'll see what they do here. That was a nice run. Now that's that consolidation going on. The consolidation is not always necessarily a profit taking. They just stop buying, and then the lighter volume comes in. It reflects the weakness of the selling, and the next thing you know, while we're in a weekly buy, we get into a daily buy again, and then we get some more strength again on the upside here. And that was probably what brought that conversation on yesterday, because we were talking about how digestion or consolidation occurs, and some people think it's profit taking, and what it is just a lack of buyers, and then some just liquidate a little bit of their profits, but they're not getting out of that long position overall. They're just trying to take a little profit and prepare themselves for the next move on the upside. Now, hey, Robin, look at that. We got a lot of people today. We're up to 7. I like that. Cool. Traders, if you see anything that you would, if you would like to see anything like, gold or silver, we'll get there. But if you want to see it now, just tell us on the chat line and we'll jump right to it. Because we like to move around. We go through this rhythm every day. We look about at 9 or 10 pairs trades to start off the first half hour of the day of this webinar. And we're always comfortable with jumping around and taking a look at other things. So there's a GBP. And you can see here it's selling off a little bit, but the weekly is way above. It's staying strong. The fast got in there down in this low area. The slow moving algo, where we put a line in, went into it at the beginning of last week, confirming to be long for this whole move there. And now we see it just, like I said, consolidating or taking a profit. Just taking a profit, teeny weeny little profit. It's more of lack of buying. That's what it comes down to. Now let's just take a quick look at Euro GBP. Euro GBP was in a sell, but today it's jumping up because they are putting more pressure on the cable. But notice that we've been in a weekly sell since all the way back in here, and every week it reconfirms it, and that's why that line just sits there. And then when this thing all turns through the zero line right here, then we'll be in a weekly buy. And that's where we are with the Euro GBP pairs trade. All right. Now from there, let's take a look at it on this too. Euro GBP right there. And there's on J4X, the same thing we just looked at on Chicago Quant. I'll take a sip of my tea at the same time. There you are. As it fills in. It's getting there. See the green bar getting across. There we are. And you can see it's trying to turn up. Yellow is at 31.6. And this is at 48.1. So we're seeing the strength come in on the daily for the last couple of days. And you can see it here doing the same thing, trying to get in to buy. And today it's doing it. We'll see how long that lasts. Usually the sells have been the winners because we're in the weekly sell. So like when it went into the weekly sell, like right here, it was a winner. And when it went into the weekly sell or daily sell right here again, it was a winner. And then when we went into another daily sell right here, it was a mild, soft winner, or just break even. And then the next one was right here, and that was a nice win right there. And then right there you go again, another nice win. And this one, okay, there was a nice little win right there between that close and that low 2 days later. And now you can see it's trying to get into the buy, and we're still below in the sell, so we're not exactly excited about this. It's just maybe, again, it's the consolidation / or profit. And how do you define profit taking compared to consolidation? Through volume, through our math. It shows supply and demand, how much there's demand or there's oversupply. And consolidation happens all the time in a move, be it up or down. And then it adjusts, does it again, and it goes. Nothing tries to stay on a straight line unless you're like Enron or something of that nature. All right, and from there we go to the Swiss, and there's the Swiss. You can see it went into the buy yesterday. It's barely doing anything, but again, we're in a weekly sell, so you wouldn't want to take that long to begin with. We really don't believe, we've talked about this many times since we've seen this thing vacillate between the 101 area and the 87.5 area, that we really think that this is more of the natural area. And just that concern about Credit Suisse and the problems that they were having, and how it seemed like the yen and the Swiss franc seemed to be basically trading in the same rhythm. Just showed you that there might have been some real money and positions tied up in the Credit Suisse. Now that they seem to have resolved those problems, everything is hunky-dory again in the Swiss saltine. The Swiss franc. All right. From there, we go over to the Swiss on this. Swiss Miss. Like the hot chocolate. Right there. There it is. Yeah, you see that strength there. Just as it is right there. And you can see we are at 41 and this is at 29. So again, it's showing some strength in the buy side of it all. Even when you're looking at Chicago Quant or you're looking at the J4X. Imagine this is the last week and then Giannis will be home. The honeymoon will be done. He'll be a married man. No more phone calls at 2 in the morning listening to him drunked up. All right. From there, we slide over to the yen itself. There's the yen. They tried to back off a little bit, but we said it was a dead cat bounce, and sure enough, has been in that weekly buy since here in the 131.5 area, or 132.5 area, something like that, 32.5. Been in that weekly buy, and it's still in that weekly buy since, and that's the end of or middle of April, is that? Yeah, late April. It's been in the weekly buy, and the fast went in there even sooner. You can see the fast went in there at the beginning or middle or first week of April. So there's been a lot of pressure on this yen, and it doesn't seem to want to stop. And we were really surprised. We thought it would stall out in like the 138 area, but our math keeps on telling us no, it's not going to stall out. And it's like, oh, okay. What did they do wrong? Why are they being beaten up compared to the dollar? So it must be a combination of what we see in the new president of the Bank of Japan and Mr. Powell's policies. Put the two together and you get a lot of noise. That's for sure. All right. Oh, let's put it on J4X. Right there. Lots of green. 85 on the slow, almost 86. And 85 very close. It's just turning down. 85.4 versus 85.8. A little pressure in here. Maybe this will be the topping out. Let's go back down again. Hard to say. I don't see it, but anything's possible. If the math changes, we'll change with it. Right now, the math is trying to tell us, don't worry about the downside. It wants to go up. Which is sad, I don't understand what they're doing, but they say they're going to be looking at their policies. So the new president wants to change policy if it all fits. I guess they would like to get some growth into Japan. It's basically, after the European Union, it's the third largest economy. So you go United States, European Union, and then Japan. So, they're probably trying to figure something out, to get it growing more again. I know that was part of the new policy too. I saw that also. They had announced that they wanted to get their growth going. They wanted to see more children born. A good economy opens the doorway for expanding population. All right. Let's see. What else we got going on here? I guess that's that when it comes to the yen. And from the yen, then we dance our way over to, we'll put it up on J4X first, and that is the Turkish lira. We look at the euro Turkish lira pairs trade right there. It kind of, it's been hesitant, kind of hanging out, trying to generate a little red there on the hinky at the moment for the first time on a daily basis. Let's put it up over on Chicago Quant. All right. I think it's been in a sell for 2 days or 3 days. 3 days now. This will be the third day in a sell. Steal one of these reds. Just put it right where it was at. Right there. There's the sell right there. 3 days ago. Not really doing much, but we're in that weekly buy, so we don't exactly take this too serious. we look at it more like, all right, well, they're just going to, as long as it's in that weekly buy, more than likely the thing's going to find a way to go up, And that has been the recipe to it all, really. It does find ways to go up, and we're looking for, we've been calling it the little ruble because it's trading at about a third or about a quarter of what the ruble trades for. It's gone from 1 to 27. Now we're looking at, we're thinking that this poor thing might get really toasted and head up into the 30s. And that would make sense. That would be like a 1/3 retracement on the upside. That would make total sense to us. So we're thinking 31 or 30 or 32, something like that, 33. Between 31 and 33. That's what we're thinking. And let's see, what else can we say? I guess that's about it. Really parked up there. Look at that. Look at the way it's gotten really tight like this. Let's see if we can widen this out a little bit. I mean, it is hanging between the 26 and 25 at this point, which is nice, I mean, it's good that they're finally doing something like that. We'll just watch and see. Let the math tell us the real story. All right, from there we go to, where do we go from there? We go over to what we call the M brick. And what it is it's the Mexican peso with the brick, because the country Mexico wants to be a brick. So let's put the Mexican peso up on the screen. Mexican peso. I know, I just passed it. There it is. Getting a little bounce out of it the last couple days. Let's see how it looks over here. Just telling us that the dollar is getting stronger. When this is going down, the dollar is getting weak. The peso is strong, and vice versa. So you can see here, we're on a second day of a buy. Let's steal one of these greens. Right there. Right there. We're in the weekly sell, so I don't take that buy too serious. Just don't be short. That's all. Because when the weekly and the daily start to break away from each other, we wait for them to join back together again. And right now, that's where we're at. Banging at the something like a Fibonacci of 261.8, which is, I guess, like the, it's just like some type of extreme extension of some form. And the black line was 1.61.8, and so that's what that's trying to tell us. Now the Mexican peso, we figure is going to be the bulk of the brick in the end, because the real doesn't. They don't even have quotes on real, and what was it? We were trying to get the rupee up there yesterday, which I thought would be 8% of the index, and it does trade more than some of the other products, but it was really hard to get quotes on that too. So if you're going to have an alternative against the dollar, you got to have something that actually moves, trades. And then obviously the Chinese yuan is a fixed unit, so that doesn't even trade. That's just they declare what the price is, and you buy it. Pretend like you're trading something. And then the ruble's put itself into that strange situation where, it was a good trading product, and now it's because of the with the war in Ukraine, people are steering clear of it. So we really got a problem there with the bricks overall. So the only two real bricks we can say that trade the best is obviously the Mexican peso and the South African rand. And there we go. We got something going this morning. There we go. We got Peter. Hey, Peter. Morning, Doc. Hey, sorry if you've looked at this already. Oh, it doesn't matter to us. We'll look at anything 2 or 3 times. But could we take a look at the CAD? if there's time. Most definitely, you always have time. We like to look at everything. You never know, Peter, you never know what you're going to see when you go back and look at something a second time. Or a third time even, seriously. You just don't know. And when it comes to money and trading, we're always ready to be very conservative in the sense of paying attention. In this case here, you can see we've been in a daily sell up until yesterday for since this topping in the 136 area. This triangle got beat up really hard, really surprising. It was the classic WD Gann one, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I guess this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I guess there it tightens up more, and then that's the 6 and the 7, and it's supposed to take out this high here. It doesn't. Breaks down again, and it's supposed to take out this low, and it has. So it's like the classic Gann triangle. And at the same time, our work is showing where it's been in a weekly sell since here, basically, for this whole ride. And you can see our sell went in 2 days beforehand right there. And then next day, and then, so forth and so on, being in a weekly sell at the same time. So it was interesting action. What else can we say? That's the CAD. And usually what we do is we look at the CAD and then we take a look at energy. So what we're going to do that is we'll go look at energy, and then we'll go over to the other brick. We'll take a look at the South African Rand. Let's put energy. Well, let's do this too. Let's show you how it looks on J4X with our Doc Manhattan indicator. Doc indicator. Where are you? Cable right there. So you can see here the yellow line is at the 17 area, and the green has jumped up into the 22. It's trying to get going there. It did yesterday. You can see that, and seems to be falling back a little bit today. Over here on Chicago Quant, as you saw, the daily is holding up at the moment. We'll see how well it survives by the end of the day. And we're in a weekly sell anyway. You can see there's zero line right there. So, it's not like you want to try to trade the long side. It just shows you all the pressure that's been on the downside. And we've been monitoring this triangle for months now. How does that work, Peter? Does that answer some of your questions there? But never, ever worry about asking to see something that we may have seen 10 minutes ago or an hour ago or whatever. No problem here. I like going back and looking because you just don't know what you could, see. Now, let's take a look at oil, because that's what we do when we look at the CAD. And there's the front month futures contract. And it is moving up. And when it's moving up, usually the CAD is moving down like that. So this is moving down, and this is moving up. It says and that's usually the way it works. No problem. Of late, because of the interest rates in Canada and the inflation, of late it seems to be moving away from following the oil market. But I'm sure it'll fall back into it once it all gets readjusted again. Now from there, we go over to the South African Rand, right there. It's doing the same thing. It's bouncing up. That's not it. Right there. There's a South African Rand. It's trying to pop up, closed. Let me steal one of these buys. Steal this one. Went into the buy yesterday, but we're in a weekly sell, so I'm not comfortable with the bounce. It's probably, again, a consolidation, take profit thing. One or the other, or both together. Together. All right, and then from there, one thing you can say about the weekly, as you see on Chicago Quant, we are buried down at the bottom here. So the question is it going to bounce or is it going to sit still? Now let's take a look at it on Chicago J4X. 71% loaded. Come on, you can do it. Kick that pig. I'm going to take a sip of my tea. Oh, there it is. So you can see the weekly's been in a sell for 3 weeks now. It's matching up to our fast. That's that blue dot dashed line. We'll show that to you right now. We'll point it out right there. It broke the 0 line up in here just as this went red. And you can see here we've been in a sell, bouncing around in different ways, but we've been in a sell for a while. It's at 36. And look at that. The green is at 13. Wow, it's a 1/3. That's amazing. They're really pushing hard on that. So from there, that pretty much does all the currencies. We're going to throw up GBP AUD for Benny in case Benny pops in at the end. And we're signing off, and this way he'll be able to look at the video. Right there. Excuse me. And so you can see that's gone into the buy. At the beginning, yesterday it did that, and it's in the daily buy, so that pressure's on. It's basically a win there. And that's what we were saying. I guess it was on Monday we said that when we did the webinar, because it went into the weekly buy on Monday itself, that pressure. And the odds are when it goes through that at the beginning or just in the middle of the week, that's usually 99% sure that it's going to stay in the buy. It's very, very rare that it doesn't. So you see there's the pressure. It's moving up. And then we go and look at cable yen, because I know that Benny likes watching that too. There it is right there. Trying to get into a sell as we speak, but it's been in that weekly buy since down here in the 164s. 163, something like that. 164s. So, here we've traded up to the 182s. So, it's been an interesting ride on the upside there. Very well. If it wasn't for some of this sloppy action right here, just 4, out of the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 days, 4 times it went in a buy and it went sell, buy, sell, buy. I mean, they were accurate, but, it just gets a little noisy. Sometimes we like it where they just cruise along, like this one right here, where it gets into the buy and it just stays on its path. Or it gets into a buy here and it stays on its path. This one was just 3 days long. This one here has been interesting. Got in its buy and it's been just cruising along, no problems. And we can basically say what we're starting to see here is a daily sell right there if it closes there today. Doc, could we check out NZD dollar? Sure. I think it went into the sell there yesterday. Right there. Yeah, we're third day in a sell on that. And we're playing with the weekly sell with no problem. Right there. Went into the weekly sell right there at the beginning of the week. Interesting action. So it's a definite win to be sell or be short. There we are. I don't see much. We used to follow New Zealand CAD. That had some type of correlation with the oil market, but it seems to have drifted away from that. Let's just take a look at it. I think they used to call it the loony trade, like the Canadian coin. Let's see if we can put that up there. Right there. Yeah, and so it was heading down, and it went into the sell there. It went into the buy here, went up, and now it's heading back into the sell again on the NASCAD. It does have some much more consistency. It is interesting in some ways. We used to follow that for years. We used to follow that as the thing to follow in oil, but then after a while, it kind of drifted away from it, and we started paying attention to the outright CAD. And realized that the CAD itself was dollar CAD pairs trade was a real interesting indicator of the way oil is going. Ta-da! How's that? Does it make any sense to you? Let's put it up on J4X too as we speak. NASCAD. We haven't looked at that in a while on here. How about that? Let's put it in there. NZD. Let's try that again. Oh. Clicked on the wrong keyboard. NZD. There we are. And it's loading up. And the answer to the question is, just want to see how it's matching up with the Chicago Quant. We do that a lot. We try to always show how they're matching up together so you can follow the Doc indicator on J4X there, the Doc Manhattan indicator. All right, it's almost there. Still warming up. There it is. And you can see there, that's a weekly one. You see that pressure, it's been on it for, what is that, like 3, 4, 5th week, just like over here. You know, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's been in the pressure. You know, it's been going down. You see here we're at 28. The slow is moving at 19, so it's trying to get some strength in there. And that's why we see the weekly right here. Let's see if we can change the color a little bit for you. Let's see if we can make that darker. Style. If we go like that real quick. No. I guess what we do is we have to go like this. Just make it thicker. There we are. See how it jumped into the buy last week right there on the fast moving algo. The slow is still down and anemic, but you know, just thought, you know, well worth looking at there. All right, from there we slide over to, if you want to see any other currencies, just shout them out. We'll go out there. If not, we'll go to the metals complex now, because that's what we normally do when we look at South African Rand. We look at gold. And where's that at? Let's put gold up there. There's gold. And let's just take a look at the Rand again. So if the Rand is bumping up for the last 2 days, then we would expect to see gold moving down. You can see that there. There's pressure on it. And the green is at 20 and the yellow is at 19. So it's trying to turn up a little bit in here. Let's take a look at it on Chicago Quant, because the last I looked, it was being pressured on the downside. And the answer to that is right there. Yeah, it's being pressured. It's in a daily sell from yesterday. It's pressing down even more, so that makes sense why we're seeing the South African Rand try to lift up. All right, and from there we'll take a look at silver. Silver's got that same issue. Well, you know what? I want to save that gold. Let me save that gold. And there's the gold saved. Now let's take a look at silver again. You see silver doing the same thing. Let's put silver up on the screen. Right there. Trading in the high 22s. Went into a sell yesterday. It's moving down today. It's still flirting with the weekly. So it's kind of like, you know, they're saying, you know, we're basically saying be neutral at the moment. Unless you have a position on, then you can always sell calls against it. Since you're long, that doesn't hurt any. That's just free money. And then, what else can we say about the metals? Well, that's it with the silver. Now today I think we've seen copper right there. Copper is trying to get into a sell, but it's not doing that great a job. You can see it's got a red and, well, it had a red and green. Now it's just a red again. It is below the 0 line. Let's put it up on J4X. Right there it is, right there. Copper. You see that pressure developing on that on a daily basis. That's the weekly. It's showing that strength. We've been in a weekly buy in the fast algo for 4 weeks now. You can see here J4X joined in 3 weeks ago, and our slow joined in 2.5 weeks ago. No, not even, last week. So not a lot of enthusiasm there, that's for sure. As we used to say on the trading floor and in the hedge fund industry, not a lot of conviction. Last but not least, oh, I want to say that. Let me do that too. And last but not least, we will go over to, there we are. Let me just double check about that silver. I'm going to save that again too. We're going to go over to platinum. Platinum was showing lots of weakness yesterday, and it's been in a weekly sell for a while. So we didn't take any bounces really too serious when it came to that whole complex. And there it is right there. Tried to get into a sell yesterday. I think it did. I'm not sure what's wrong with that, but the high is way higher up. It's about in the 80s or something like that. We'll have to fix that. And for sure today it's pushing into the sell. At the same token, you can see here it's been in a weekly sell for 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 full weeks. It's been in a sell. So it keeps on telling us that the pressure is on the downside, not the upside. And that does it for the metals. If anybody wants to see or look at anything else in them, let me know. We'll wait a few seconds here. I'll use it to sip my tea. There we are. All right. From there, we slide over to the energy sector. Let's take a look at Brent. There's Brent. Brent, on a weekly basis, is trying to pop back up over here on West Texas Intermediate, right there. It's in a buy for a week now in the August contract, trying to stay firm. It's in a daily buy for the same period of time. So it is trying, let's put it that way. Now, let's put the daily in there, right there. You can see it's been in a daily buy for going on a 6th day. And over here on crude, we've been in a good solid 4 days, that's for sure. All right. And then from there, we slide over to nat gas. Let's see what natural gas is doing. Oh, let's see this too. There's 5 days on the daily, where we're 4 days. And you can see it's pushing and pushing and pushing, trying to get rolling along there. It's trying, let's put it that way, that's for sure. And then let's take a look at nat gas. Right there. Natural gas trading at $2.40 a cubic yard or foot or whatever they're measuring it by. It's a cubic something. And let's put it up over here. There it is. Slid into the sell yesterday. Or no, today it's doing it. Yesterday they smashed it down. And yesterday they went after the weekly instantly. That's what was interesting, is they put a lot of pressure on it instantly in the beginning of this week. So I don't know. I mean, it's an energy that everybody needs. I'm a little confused why in the United States it's down so much. I guess we have so much inventory, whereas Europe has almost no inventory. So that's a good reason why we have to, watch and put up with the pain that Europe takes. We try to be, if Mr. Trump was in there, those problems wouldn't be happening. But he's not in there. So, JoJo is JoJo. All right, now what we do is we go over to Spain, and we look at the energy provider there, who puts a nice quote out, and we can actually see the action in the product itself. It kind of matches the oil. You can see it's at 26.5 compared to our $2.50. So that pressure is on the natural gas in Europe, and it's feeling it constantly over and over and over again. It doesn't let go. All right, now from there, that pretty much completes all the action we see in the energies and currencies and commodities. So we're going to just show you the S&P 500. Start off there. We got about a minute and a half, about 2.5 minutes still. So you can see here, it's been slowly drifting down. Nothing major, just a slow leak. Has that slow leak look to it? And when we look at the daily itself right here, see we went into the sell yesterday, and it's pressuring its way down and doing it again today, but not in any real, let's take out yesterday's low attitude. We're really watching this thing try to just stabilize, I guess. It's way up there. It's 60 points off its highs. It's a 2-year highs or something like that. So that action is not letting go, and we don't expect it to either. I think there's more buyers than there are sellers out there, but we are in the summer months. So the equinox, I think, is today or it was yesterday. So people are really starting to think vacation, get away. Money's going to trade a little less. We'll stand to the side. Mr. Powell, I guess, let's see. He's going to be, let's see, is it at the end of July? I guess he could be raising rates again, something like that. Middle of July, maybe, something like that. So, middle of July, yeah, I guess that would make sense. So that's the process, and that's where we're at. That is exactly where we're at. So now, traders, if anybody wants to see anything else, shout it out. If not, we're going to get going. We'll have to figure out a title to this, too. What should we call this today? What did we really talk about? Different or new? Let me think. We were talking about the consolidation or profit taking, each other. We talked about that a little. We didn't really talk about it a lot. No one seemed to ask. So, if no one's asking, then we're not really... I go on my normal ramble, that type of thing. So, what else can we say about any of these? I guess the best we can say is that we will see you all tomorrow on Thursday. That's what it comes down to. So, happy trails to you until we meet again, which will be tomorrow. Same time, same channel. Happy trails to you. To all our trading friends. All right, traders. Catch you tomorrow. And we'll see what kind of action we get tomorrow after Mr. Powell, who's going to be speaking for a couple days to the U.S. Congress. That could be entertaining. So, arrivederci, traders. Arrivederci.